you want to talk about the future of surgery. Well, forget flying cars for a second. We're talking about like real tangible stuff that's happening right now, like right now. You've been asking about robotic surgery, and let me tell you, this isn't some like sci-fi fantasy.
Oh, absolutely not. This is happening in operating rooms all over the world as we speak. We actually dug into some expert insights from SurgiMind. It's a podcast for surgeons. And what we found is really fascinating.
So picture this, a surgeon, right? But they're not hunched over a patient. They're sitting at a console, controlling these crazy, precise robotic arms. And get this, they even have like these cool names like Da Vinci, Mako, Roesa.
And they're not just cool names. These systems actually give surgeons like a magnified 3D view of what they're working on. So it's way better than what the human eye can see.
Wow.
They're seeing everything, like such incredible detail. And those robotic arms, man, they can move in ways and with a level of steadiness that even the best surgeon, even with the steadiest hands, can't replicate.
Okay, so that's amazing from like a tech standpoint. But what does this actually mean for the patient, Like, what's the takeaway? Let's say you need a knee replacement, right? Instead of hobbling around for 6 weeks with robotic assistance, you could be back on your feet, back to your routine in half that time.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even just about getting back on your feet faster. Smaller incisions, which they can't do because of these robots, means less pain, less scarring, probably fewer complications. So you're looking at a much smoother, much faster healing process overall.
So less time in the hospital, less pain, faster recovery. That's huge. But what I thought was really interesting is that SurgiMind was highlighting how this technology is being used in all sorts of surgeries now, like delicate heart operations, neurosurgery, even in, those joint replacements we were just talking about. Like, this isn't just for, fancy hospitals anymore.
And that's a really important point. And while the cost of this technology is definitely a factor, like, let's be real, these systems are really, really sophisticated, and they require specific instruments and a lot of training for the surgeons to use them. But more and more hospitals are starting to realize, the long-term benefits here. Think about it. Shorter hospital stays, you can get patients in and out more quickly, and obviously all those improved outcomes for the patients. It all adds up.
Yeah, it's like investing in like a really high-end coffee machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The initial cost might be kind of scary, but you're saving money on those expensive lattes in the long run, and you get the convenience of making it at home.
Exactly.
But how do these robotic systems actually do their thing during surgery? What's actually going on in there?
Okay, so let's stick with the joint replacement example because I think people can really visualize that. Before the surgery even starts, the surgeon can actually use the robotic system to create a 3D model of your specific anatomy. So they're not just going in there blind. This lets them plan the surgery in a really, really precise way, almost like doing a practice run in the virtual world before the actual surgery.
Wow, so it's like having a surgical plan that's totally personalized to your body. I mean, no two knees are the same, right?
You got it. And during the surgery itself, the robotic arms, they basically take the surgeon's hand movements from that console we talked about, and they translate them into these super delicate actions inside the body. And the cool thing is, they can get into these really tight spaces and make movements that you just couldn't do with normal surgical tools.
That level of accuracy is mind-blowing. But wait, it gets even more futuristic. They also mentioned something called like telesurgery in this podcast. Are we talking like surgery performed remotely, as in the surgeon is in a totally different location?
Yep, you got it. It does sound like something out of Star Trek.
It does.
But with those super fast internet speeds we have today and how advanced these robots are, it really is possible for these like expert surgeons to operate on patients that could be miles and miles and miles away. So think about what that means for people who live in like rural areas or places where it's hard to get access to those specialists.
It's like beaming up the best surgeon in the world right to your local hospital.
Exactly.
That's incredible. This is already blowing my mind, and we've only just like scratched the surface here.
Right. There's so much more to uncover.
Yeah.
We talked about like the technology and the benefits, but there are some challenges too, and even some like ethical things to think about that honestly come with any major medical advancement.
And that is what we're going to be diving into when we come back. We'll tackle those challenges head on, talk about the ethics of it all, and really uncover what this all means for the future of surgery. So don't go anywhere. We're back, and before the break we were talking about those surgeons operating remotely, which is like super cool, but it also got me thinking, with all this amazing technology, are we running into any ethical, I don't know, dilemmas or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. That's a really important thing to be thinking about. Like, it's not just about things like, data privacy, which is obviously a big deal anytime you're dealing with, people's health information, but it's also about how this impacts the relationship between like the doctor and the patient.
Okay, so how does robotic surgery change that dynamic? Because I mean, even with the robot doing its thing, you've still got a human surgeon right there with you.
Right, exactly. And that human element is like absolutely crucial. But, think about it. As this technology gets more and more advanced and it's taking on more tasks in the operating room, it's easy to see how a patient might end up feeling like they're interacting more with, a machine than with their doctor.
So instead of that, personal connection with their surgeon, they're looking at a bunch of screens and robot arms and wondering, like, who's really in control here?
Exactly. And that's where that human touch becomes even more important. Surgeons really need to make sure that they're taking the time to explain things clearly to their patients, address any concerns, really work on building that trust. And that's true no matter how, high tech the surgery is. It's all about finding that balance. We're harnessing these incredible tools that we have, but we can't forget about the human beings that are at the center of it all.
Totally, totally. It's about like combining that insane precision that these robots give us with, good old-fashioned human care and empathy. But okay, let's get back to the techie stuff. The SurgiMind experts, they seem really pumped about what the future holds for robotic surgery. So what's on the horizon? What's coming down the pipeline?
Well, we're already starting to see artificial intelligence, AI, being incorporated into some of these robotic systems.
Whoa, hold on, AI.
Yeah.
So we're talking like some kind of Hollywood scenario where the AI goes rogue and takes over the surgery?
No, not at all, not at all. This is about using AI to make surgeons even better at what they do,
Yeah.
not to replace them entirely.
Okay, so it's more like having like a super intelligent assistant in the operating room with you. What would that actually look like?
Yeah. Okay, so imagine an AI system that can like analyze data during the surgery in real time. Like, let's say it's tracking blood loss or it's keeping an eye on the patient's vital signs, all that important stuff. It could actually alert the surgeon to like a potential complication before they could even see it with their own eyes.
Whoa, that's wild. So it's like an early warning system for the human body.
Exactly.
But AI, that's just one piece of the puzzle, right? What other advancements are shaping the future of robotic surgery?
One word, haptics.
Haptics.
Yeah, so haptics is basically, it's the science of touch. And researchers are working on ways to build that sense of touch into these robotic systems.
Hold on. Robot surgeons with a sense of touch. How is that even possible?
It's all about creating these systems that let the surgeon actually feel the tissues and organs that they're working on, even though they're, controlling those robotic arms from a console.
So like if the robotic arm bumps into something during the surgery, like something unexpected, the surgeon would actually feel that resistance in the controls.
Yeah, exactly. So it would give them this whole other level of sensory feedback that they don't have right now, which would let them make even more informed decisions during these super complex surgeries. We're talking about a level of precision and control that, honestly, just a few years ago would have sounded like science fiction.
This is seriously blowing my mind. We've got AI, robots with a sense of touch, and don't even get me started on telesurgery, beaming surgeons all over the place. This could totally revolutionize healthcare. But with all these advancements, I have to ask, what about the surgeons themselves? Are they worried about being replaced by robots?
That's a question that comes up a lot, which makes sense. But, all those experts we were listening to, they were really clear on this point. They said robotic surgery is not about replacing human surgeons. It's about giving them superpowers,
Yeah.
making them even better.
So it's more of a partnership than, like robots and surgeons working together.
Exactly. Surgeons, they bring, their expertise to the table, their years and years of training, their ability to like think on their feet and make decisions in really intense situations. Robots, on the other hand, they bring the precision, the endurance, and they can get to those really tricky spots that would be like really hard for a human surgeon to reach.
Scary.
So it's all about bringing those two worlds together, the best of both worlds, to get the best possible outcome for the patient.
It's like that old saying, teamwork makes the dream work, but with robots.
Okay, so we talked about the technology, the ethics, the future of this whole thing, and it's clearly a really exciting field that has the potential to totally change healthcare as we know it. But I'm guessing it's not all, smooth sailing. There's got to be some bumps in the road, right? what are some of the challenges that we need to like be aware of?
That's a great question, and it's a really important one that deserves a much deeper dive because it's not just about the technology itself. It's about making sure that that technology is available to everyone, that it's affordable, and that it's being used in a responsible way. And that's what we're going to be talking about in our final act, so stay tuned. All right, so we are back and ready to really unpack some of the challenges around robotic surgery. We've talked about all the cool stuff, the futuristic stuff.
It is really exciting stuff.
It is, but like with anything else in medicine, especially when it comes to new tech, there are always going to be some hurdles.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room, the cost. These systems, they sound really expensive.
They are a significant investment, I'll say that. And it's not just the robot itself.
Right.
You've got the instruments, the maintenance, training. It all adds up.
Okay, so amazing outcomes for patients, potentially, but at what cost, right? Like how do we even make this accessible to everyone? It just seems like it would be so easy to leave so many people behind.
And that's a valid concern. If we want robotic surgery to really change the game in healthcare, it's got to be available to everyone. Yeah. That means looking at insurance, maybe even government help with costs, and yeah, why not? Even some philanthropic models to get this tech to more people who need it.
Right. Because it's like any other big tech jump, right? The early adopters, it costs a lot, but as it gets more common, the price comes down.
Exactly.
But while we're waiting for that to happen, we got to make sure that, I don't know, that your zip code or how much money you have doesn't determine whether or not you can, have access to this kind of surgery.
Absolutely, yeah. And on top of that, there's also the training aspect. I mean, surgeons, they need to be specially trained to use these systems. It's like learning a whole new way to operate, which takes time and resources.
So it's not like you just wheel the robot in and it does its thing, right?
Right. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of coordination, and not every hospital can, afford to do that to train everybody.
Right.
And that's where things can get, well, a little uneven. You'll probably see the bigger, richer hospitals adopting this technology more quickly, while the smaller ones, maybe in more rural areas, might fall behind. It's something to watch out for.
It's like we always have to be aware of those disparities in healthcare, right? And this just seems like something that could make that whole problem even worse.
Exactly. And there are no easy answers, unfortunately. But just by talking about it, by being aware of these potential problems, maybe we can start figuring out ways to make it better, make it more equitable for everybody.
And that's what this is all about, right? Giving you the information, the insights you need to make good decisions about your own health. And robotic surgery, it could really be amazing, but we have to be smart about it. We have to be aware of the challenges and address them head on.
I totally agree. And, for everyone listening, remember, knowledge is power, as they say.
Yeah.
The more you know about this stuff, the good and the bad, the better prepared you'll be to advocate for yourself.
Yes, 1,000%. Ask questions, do your research, talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid to get involved in these conversations about the future of healthcare, because at the end of the day, it's your health. These are decisions that you have to make.
And as this technology keeps getting better and better, those conversations are going to keep getting more and more important.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe next year we'll be doing a whole deep dive on self-operating nanobots.
But until then, we're going to keep digging into all of this and bringing you the information you need.
That's right, we will. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of robotic surgery, everybody. We hope it's been helpful and given you something to think about.